So, 23rd of May 2024. Welcome everyone to the Bitcoin design community and the 10, how do I say it? 10 10
Almost, you got it. 10-10-1.
10 10 1 team here. It's the third call with the community actually. They're jumping on now so that we can do a design review for their onboarding flow. Um, And this is design review call number 38 in the Bitcoin design community. So yeah, thanks everyone for being here. And thank you for the 10-10-1 team for reaching out to us as well. So yeah, we can pretty much kick it off. Would you guys like to maybe start with an introduction as to why you redesigned the onboarding flow? What was the push and the sort of the vision behind the reasoning behind redesigning it?
Yeah. Since it's already pretty late for Philip, I will jump in and take this question. So we did polls, and so that's how we learn at the moment with 10-10-1, and there were two responses. One was, I don't know how to start. Like 50%, like the most significant one party of users that were not using the app say, I do not know how to start. So that does already give us a hint that we needed to change something here. So we looked at it and said, okay, yeah, there are multiple steps that are probably too complicated. This is what we want to address. And we feel like this is as well exactly the question that we can use you guys for to help us to, we identify the problem. Now what's the solution, right? So that's the way. And the second feedback we've gotten was on-chain fees are too expensive.
Okay.
So we also saw it already in the onboarding flow of, we used to have Lightning support, but we dropped it temporarily because of complexity, but we're now bringing it back. So this is another avenue, how to improve the onboarding flow through an on-chain avenue and the Lightning avenue, as well as, so we're addressing one simplified onboarding process, as well with less on-chain transaction costs. That was the idea behind that, and that got us started. And what you see is the first thing we came up with, and what you have seen, hopefully.
Okay. I've shared the Figma file here in the comments as well. Um, if you guys could maybe just guide us to, I did have a look at it previously, before starting the call, but just to make sure, would this be the new onboarding flow here, or is it somewhere else in the document?
It's somewhere else. These are, I think, sorry for that. I think we have just one big Figma file which is not super structured. I'm looking for it, but maybe Philip, if you know it right away where it is, yeah.
It's in the lower right corner. You can jump to my name. I'm moving my mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it here.
So maybe instead of calling it onboarding flow, it is a flow to onboard a user into opening a position by reducing the steps of how many steps they have to do to fund the wallet. So initially we had like fund the wallet in a separate step. So we have like this wallet overview where you can click on receive and you basically can send funds in there. And then we get the trade screen to open a position. And we thought, okay, we're gonna remove the first step and say you can fund, or you can open your first position without having any money in the wallet. And then while doing so, you get confronted, hey, you don't have any money there. There's no channel. Here's a QR code, send money there, and then you can get started.
Okay. So it's not actually, it's the onboarding part to buying and selling, essentially, to be more specific, because it's not really right at the beginning of the wallet.
Yeah, so It's not the onboarding into the app; it's the onboarding into a position. So it's basically the flow to open a position.
Okay.
And do you plan to keep the other one as well? Kind of where you just you send some funds to your wallet, kind of like as a detached flow, like a general flow, or will you replace it completely?
No, we will keep it as well, because the one idea of the app is that it's kind of your hot wallet as well, a spending wallet and a trading wallet. So you can use it as such as well, independently of the trading part.
Makes sense.
Which would be the screen that they would see before this screen over here?
The wallet screen, which is where's the wallet screen? This one. So it's you see my mouse? Yeah, that is the main screen.
Mm-hmm.
So you see this nav bar at the bottom, which says wallet and trade. So when they first arrive in the app, they see the wallet, and they can fund the wallet using receive. It's right now simplified, so we don't have Lightning in there. We only have on-chain, and we called it off-chain instead of Lightning because it's not really Lightning. And then when the user clicks on trade, it jumps into this flow we just saw earlier in the right
The
corner.
one at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Bottom right.
But theoretically, we could also start at this this screen. There is no need for prioritizing one over the other. It's just what we just have, right? It's independent screens. Actually, they can now work completely independently from each other.
Okay. Now, forgive me for my question for this one over here, but there's swap on this home screen and then trade as well. Now I'm what would the swap do then? Is that like a
It does not exist at the moment, so I think we can just skip that part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to the trade screen. The reason why you guys are here on the call is for the trading advice about this. Okay. So feel free to jump in at any time, Michael and Daniel, and ask questions.
Yeah, I had a look before the call,
Yeah.
and kind of a general thing that I noticed, and I didn't watch the entire video of last time's call, but what I noticed is it's very advanced language, very jargon in terms of not only the trading part, but also kind of the technical language, like funded channel, without on-chain footprint, and these kinds of things. So I guess the target audience would be people who really understand trading, right? So it's not like everyday normal users, or is it, or how do you see that?
It is a product for people who understand the risk of counterparty risk and the benefits of trading and Bitcoin self-custody. So this is where we differentiate us from something like Kraken or other BitMEX solutions, is because of this technical finesse, so to say.
Okay.
So I would be happy to make it in a simpler wording to explain how this works. But, weren't able to do it yet.
Well, I mean, as long as, and that's kind of part of the research part, right? As long as the audience knows what it's about and knows the terminology and these kinds of things, then I guess it's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and just like to say before we dive in too much that kudos to you guys because you kept at this a long time now, and I can see a huge change from the first call we had, where now this is much closer to me understanding what I can do and what to do in the app. I think,
For sure.
like Michael says, it's still pretty advanced, but it's much closer now than when I saw it the first time. So yeah, just wanted to say thumbs up for that. You've really kept at it.
Cool.
For sure.
If
Yeah.
you zoom out a little bit, Mo, yeah, so we see the whole screen there.
When
So
sorry to interrupt, but we are trying. But one of the feedback that we have the most is that there is far too much information on each screen,
Mhm.
and it seems an easy remark, but in fact, it's not. Sometimes, as a developer, you want to give all informations to the user whenever he's taking a decision, and the thing is, it seems that they are not expecting that. They're expecting a flow where they can understand what they are doing without having too much text and things like that on the screen. So that's the biggest challenge right now, I think.
I
yeah,
think
no, the challenge continues. I understand that, but I just like to acknowledge that you have made progress.
for sure, for
Thank you
sure.
so much.
And the other challenge that you face building this product as well is, from the little that I know about trading, the trading UIs or GUIs, they're normally using a complete computer screen. Like these sort of, the traders are using almost large, 1 meter wide screens to look at this data to inform their trading decisions. And what you guys are doing is you're having to squeeze everything in a mobile version and still provide them with the necessary information to make a decision. Um, so I think that is another challenge that you face in terms of providing too much information and providing too little information. I mean, I'm guessing you guys are also traders as well, or this is something that you do. Otherwise, I guess you wouldn't have built this application. But what's like the highest priority information on this when you're about to place a trade for you? What are you looking at? Like, what's the primary information? Is it something to do with the highs and lows of the candles, or what is that?
So I think this. I'm not sure if you get all the information here because then there are some factors like news events, something like halving is coming, ETFs are approved or whatnot, right? So I don't think all of this information needs to get here because you can make this decision. You read up your news somewhere else and then you go here. What we did improve, and this is just a schematic display of the candlestick chart. What we did improve is we replaced it with I would say, industry proven chart, which is typically used, which is TradingView, which offers all of these information. At the moment, this is just we just put it on a vertical view, very limited, just showing a daily candlestick chart. We want to kind of probably configure that as well by saying, okay, on an hourly basis, daily basis. So you can have more flexibility. But the next step, we might want to use something where you might have seen that other like Kraken has that. If you put it into a horizontal angle, your phone, is you get the whole screen of the phone to see the candlestick chart, where we could potentially enable more of the controls of this TradingView component that we're integrating here to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
That to make the most out of it, right? But I think at this point, it's just the most important information here is what is the price currently, right? Where are we? What's the spread? Which is actually not shown here on that design, but on our actual app, we see that, like what is the last bid and ask price. Yeah. I don't know, Philip, if you want to add something, but this is how I was thinking about this. It was not aligned before.
I'm looking at the app itself on my iPhone at the moment. Obviously, that's not up to date with this design, but on this new design, you have a tab for chart and you have a tab for trade. What's the difference there? What will happen if you click trade?
There's actually, it's a typo. If you look on the right side, it should be order book. So it should show you the order book. I'll fix it right away.
I see. Okay. So it's just more data, basically.
Yeah, so the idea is there to give you basically a different chart which shows you the order book depth.
I got it. Yeah, I mean, as not being a trader myself either, I can't say I have like a ton of detailed feedback on what the trade information should look like. You know, there's no shame in going to look at the best apps out there. And like you mentioned Kraken a few times, I'm sure Coinbase has also worked on this for a long time. So, you know, don't have to copy, but it's a good probably like understanding of feedback from a lot of users over time. Just from a sort of design perspective, if it's my first time here and I don't have any positions yet, I wonder if there's further simplification you can do. So for example, I mean, the sell button does nothing for me at the moment because I have nothing to sell, right? So should it be there? Should it not? It's a question, right? I also can see that there's some merit in keeping it because people can immediately get that they can buy and sell, right? Even if they have
Let
no
me interrupt you
position
there.
right now.
There is actually, you can sell immediately without having to buy something up front. It's a position that you take. It basically means you think the price will fall, so you will sell, or you think the price will go up, you will go buy. So there is no difference in what you can do first. You can definitely do first the sell position.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful.
You have to see it from the trading pair.
Yeah, it's again, you know, for me, I wouldn't understand that if I wasn't a trader with the requisite skill, then because intuitively it feels impossible. So, but I understand it now, and I guess this is where the precise language comes in, right? Like, and sometimes you see on the next screen, I see buy long, and I guess the equivalent would be sell short. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. You know, how much do you show for the advanced user that already understands this, and how much do you want to onboard people that have never done this before? I guess you just have to pick, right? Like what's your kind of lowest expected level of understanding?
I think at the moment we're not aiming for, you know, educating users on how to trade. Yep. At least this is my understanding, right? At the same time, it's also, you know, we don't want them to just waste their money, right, by gambling, right? It's not a gambling app in that sense. It's really, I mean, at some point it is, right? But it's more like, if you want to trade, you're trading already on other platforms, do it without counterparty risk at 10-1. We're not aiming to get any user to you know, gamble with their precious Bitcoin. It's just a way to help those that already want to trade to do it without counterparty risk. So in that sense, we're aiming for users that are already familiar with these kind of. So if our users are users that know how a candlestick chart works, how order book works, and know how a perpetual future works.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I agree with that. So before we go to the second screen, I just wanted to mention this is very designery and not super important, but it feels a little bit off to me to have two tabbed elements. You have the chart and the order book at the top, and then you have the positions and the orders at the bottom. I understand why. I'm just mentioning it because it's something that feels a little bit uncomfortable purely as a designer, but I also understand the challenge with it's just something to think through. Maybe there's a different element that you could use to switch between the two or something. or you just ignore the feedback.
Yeah.
It's just the element. It's not a problem of that it can be switched. It's just if there would be a different kind of radio button or whatever, that would be better.
Exactly. Quite often you try to just have one of these sort of tabs on a screen if you can. So maybe the other thing, instead of having the chart and the order book on tabs, maybe you have it as a drop down option or something. Yeah, just sharing, but not a huge thing.
Also, with regards to this screen, what would be the difference between the order book and then the orders?
It's the order book gives you an overview of what is currently in the order book in general, like what limit orders are available, and orders are your historic orders. So
The
like
order
the
book
order
is a
book is
trading
basically a
concept
view.
where
Yeah.
everybody puts what they want to buy and sell. So there's a long list of buy offers and sell offers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the orders are orders you've actually placed. So one is sort of a group community, what everyone else is doing, and the other one are your own personal order history. Okay.
I think those terms are fairly standard, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm also not a trader, so I'm not. These
Do you need? Sorry.
Just
go
the order
ahead.
book. The order book is more where you see the depth and you see how many orders are there, at what prices somebody wants to sell or buy. Right?
Mhm.
And then in those you see the spread. So it gives you a visual idea about how many do you want to buy, how many you want to sell, at what price, what quantity.
So the person is pretty much, if I look at the screen, they're using two pieces of information. There's two pieces of information available to them on the screen to make a decision. It's basically the candles and then the order book. So they can look at the orders other people placed, and then they can also look at the chart and they can make a decision based on that. Would that sound correct, or is there something else?
Within the app,
That
as of
sounds
now,
correct.
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Maybe for your reference, I just added a screenshot of an order book so you can have an idea of how it looks like.
Okay.
So it shows you the different prices and the volume available.
Do you actually need to see on that trade screen your positions and your orders, or could that also be kind of its own tab at the bottom, like you have wallet, trade, and kind of orders or something, where you could give then more focus to actually the chart and the order book, because that's probably what you want to focus on when you're in the context of I want to open a position. It would maybe solve some of the issues that we talked about, even also with the tabs and stuff, because actually you have three tabs. You have the nav bar at the bottom, then the tab at the with the positions, and then the one with the chart and the order book.
Good. That's a really good
The question is
question.
whether on this screen you need your own history, or whether you would want to give it its own kind of place in the nav bar at the bottom.
It's a good question. So the positions tab will show you your current open position, and if you want to do make an educated decision on whether you want to change your position, then you will need the information from above. So you need the chart and the order book, whether you want to close your position. So on that sense, I think it would be inconvenient if the position would be on a different screen where you don't see that chart, because then you have to switch back and forth. The orders, maybe, but yeah, not sure.
Okay.
Probably similar.
So
the
looking
orders
at
could,
the next,
the orders could
next
definitely
screen.
be gone away. Put away, I think. Then we could test out how it looks. Like, because we even want to give another tab there, like orders and trades, right? So we're already thinking about adding next to orders the trades, because an order might be executed through multiple trades and not just one. So, and maybe this is just historic information. At the end of the day, you're only interested in the position you've gotten and the average entry price you've gotten. So how it got executed maybe not as important to show on that main screen, right? It's more for history looking at, right? Like what happened.
I'm just doing some of my own research here and seeing what else there's in the market. So I'm just getting a screen from another.
Yep, maybe
This takes
like
a long time
Daniel.
to learn, and it is a very specific use case, and there's a lot of stuff we don't know. So a lot of these things you are actually better positioned to know. But I would say the best advice I can give you is just go look at the big players, because they've had a lot of time with users and feedback and research and stuff. So without copying, learn what they have already learned. And I do think positions and orders and history is quite common to have on the screen as well, because often active traders want to know what they've already got, so don't have too much to add there. But I was looking at the next screen. So this is sort of like your goal with today was that you want to basically, I guess, make it more likely that someone puts in a new position from zero. And would you want to tell us what you have changed here? What are sort of the new things you think will make this more likely?
Yeah, so exactly. So beforehand, a user would have had to would have gone to look around at the trade, look at buy, wanted to buy something, and then can't because the available balance is 0. We wouldn't have let you go further. So then the user would have to figure out to go to the wallet, receive, send as much money in as they think they want to trade, right? Get it on chain, and then wait for confirmation, then go back to trade, and then do the trade they want. Now, it's a kind of chicken egg problem, because how much money do you want to get in? How much money do you need, right? So you have a look first how you want, then the price might move and whatever. So you probably get in as much. And we wanted to simplify that step by not having you to go when you already don't buy long, right? When you already decided on your order, basically, you don't have to break that process flow, go out somewhere else, but have this within the same flow, right? If you want to open a position, it's just one edge case that, okay, you don't have funds yet, you don't have a channel yet. Okay, let me guide you through these first steps that you have to take to make it. So the flow is still the same. You would go here, you would select your position. Before this change, you couldn't go further. Now you can. This is where it starts new with the third screen.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that makes perfect sense to not kind of break the flow.
Yeah, that's awesome if this can work. So just as if I was going through this, buy and sell makes sense. Market, I understand. I guess the other option there is limit order. But then yes. I'm confused by what does limited price mean? If I don't have a limit order, and it's a market order, there shouldn't be a limited price, right? Is that correct?
That's like depending on where you go, it's best bid or best ask price. That's a price you would get. If you go for a market order, this is the best price you would get at the moment. So this field
the limited
cannot
price
be changed.
It's not something I enter.
No, if you would go for a limit order, then you can enter it, but not if you go for a market order. It's the market price. It would be currently at 67,917 with my ticker that I have.
Yeah. So where it currently says limited price, would it make sense if it said market price or something, just price?
Yes, I think,
because I'm not sure what the limited thing.
I think this is wrong. Yeah, should be changed.
Yeah, no worries. And
I just
then
oh,
I would enter the quantity where I want to, the amount of, my position. I guess the quantity and the margin labels are a little bit misaligned, perhaps, or the, and then the X1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is that leverage?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that's missing a label as well.
I think that there we haven't spent too much time to how I think it's also not where we want to focus too much change. Like if you look at the app as of today, I think we're pretty happy with that screen. I can also see in our account implementation there is market price, there doesn't send limited price, and so this is not what we have focused on now, because it's just as a placeholder shown. Okay, this is one design we had. We have never realized it like this differently. But the next screens are actually the ones that we really focused on to, okay, how will that flow continue if the user doesn't have any balance yet?
Got it. Okay, so we still haven't talked about anything you actually want to talk about, but we're getting there.
No worries.
Okay, now we're on that screen then, the fun channel screen. Is that
By
correct?
the way, someone is writing in the chat.
oh,
What key points are you aiming to
So what key points? What questions?
Yeah.
emphasize, and what challenges are you encountering?
I'm not sure if that's specific to which part, which screen, or
I don't know as well.
no. I mean, it's Trader. If you could maybe just tell us which screen that is specifically referring to, because we've just been jumping between like sort of 2 or 3 different screens. You feel free to speak during the call as well. You know, the call is open for everyone, so just feel free to jump in and talk.
While he gets ready to do that, I'm just speaking out loud what I'm thinking as a first-time user seeing this channel. So, okay, I want to go long. I know I don't have any funds in here yet. So the title of the next screen, Fun Channel, kind of makes sense. Although I would also wonder if, like, you know, that's what I technically need to do. But another way to title the screen would be to, you know, aim more towards what the user actually wants to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not sure what I would suggest instead. I'm just reflecting on that. And then I think the text makes sense. This is your first trade. Okay, we use DLC channels for fast and low cost off-chain trading. You can read more about this technology here. Okay. And then I think the second paragraph makes a lot of sense. So in a nutshell, it behaves similar to a Lightning channel and enables you to trade instantly and without on-chain footprint. So the second paragraph is sort of clearer to me than the first, almost, because of the unknown jargon that I don't know in the first one. Like DLC channels, I have heard the term before, but I have to kind of think about what it is. And then off-chain confuses me a bit as well. But I do like that there's a link to learn more. So I think this is generally a good piece of text, but maybe it can be reorganized slightly. So, you know, the link can go at the bottom maybe instead. Yeah, small things, but overall it seems to make sense. But then I'm confused by the next sort of box there, which has top choice. And then, I guess, okay, I understand that there's sort of like preset amounts, but then is that for the channel size? And then I'm also confused by win up to. So if you could explain maybe what that top box is trying to achieve.
So unlike centralized exchanges, we're using DLCs, and this means your trade is collateralized. So that guarantees you that at any point in time, the counterparty can't get out of the trade, right, by rug pulling you. So the other side needs to lock up money with you, right? And this is the same principle like when you open a Lightning channel, you go to an LSP, the LSP says, okay, I'm locking up funds with you. This is a fee. Most of the time is correlated to that, but they will lock up money for you so you can receive funds. The same way here. So in our case, though, it's not receiving funds. It is winning funds because you go into a position, or losing funds. So the amount that you can win from your position, right, make profit from your position, is limited to how big the channel is and how much the counterparty brings in. Now, this is a very important selection for us because we lock up funds here, right? So if you're not and this will eventually cost you as well, right? Because this is basically like a loan, money that we put in, which we hope for that you will use, right? Like any other liquidity service provider, they will hope that you will use the liquidity they put up for you. So this is your decision now, right? This will be linked to some kind of a price level eventually, but this is your decision now. How big do you want it to be? Meaning, the bigger you go, the more you can win, but it will eventually also cost you more. At this point in time, there is no cost related to it. As you can see, we don't. I mean, there are fees. There will be fees charged for that. But at the moment, it's like this. Is this clear somehow? It's like what this is about?
I feel almost like some of the exactly what you've just explained. The channel size really determines the amount that they could win. Maybe if that could be included in this initial copy here at the beginning as well, or maybe I'm missing it. In a nutshell, a simulating channel enables you to trade instantly. Okay, it's your first trade. Yeah, somehow explaining this in what, like basically just exactly how you said it. Um, the channel size determines how much you could win, and both people have to put into the channel, if I understood correctly. So the more both people put into the channel, the more each of them could win.
No, I'm sorry. This is not. So there are two aspects to it. There's one aspect is about how much they will bring in,
Okay.
and how much the other side will bring in.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, you can compare it to what is the inbound liquidity to your Lightning channel that you want to have, right?
Okay.
So what you bring in,
So
that's yours.
what would the title be for this box? Like if it had a label, the whole box, what are you actually setting? The 250, 751, what am I actually setting?
You're setting the money that your counterparty puts into the channel.
Mm.
And yourself.
Okay. What would you call that?
Your channel. I would call it channel size.
Is it both, Philip? Sorry, then I probably misunderstood.
Yeah. So the upper bar is how much you will put in, and the lower bar is how much the other one puts in. Sorry, it's not a bar. The win up to is what the other party puts in. So in this case, it says 1.5 million sats. That's basically what you put in, and 750K sats is what the other party puts in.
So both of them
Okay,
are
so-
both putting in this like different amounts of sats.
Yeah.
Does this have to do with the
With the leverage.
leverage?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I think that might be good to connect somehow, because I only understood that now because I saw the 2x relationship between 1.5 million and 750K. So that kind of makes sense.
It's somewhat related, but it's also more an arbitrary choice. It's just happens right now that we choose to put up half as much as the other party, but this does not necessarily have to be. So this could also be that this win up to is equals to the upper one. So depending on how we configure it. So if you move the slider, the idea is that the lower bar also changes.
Could
But it's not
that
a bar. So I keep saying it's a bar. In my brain, it's a bar, but it's not a bar.
would it maybe make more sense to have that win up to box in the screen before, underneath that other, slider there? But then you have two sliders on one page. It just feels like that information is connected to each other. But then I don't know if it then takes away the information that this page needs. As Daniel said, I did not connect those two at all as well.
Yeah,
And
you
maybe
wouldn't know this
they're not fully
information yet.
connected, but yeah.
Yeah, they're not fully connected yet. So it's more like your inbound liquidity on a Lightning channel. So if you think of an LSP and you want to get some inbound liquidity, then this win up to the 750K is basically what the LSP puts in. And then you initially fund your channel with 1.5 million subs. So you then have a two-sided channel where 1.5 million subs is on your side and 750K is on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more question around how does this then connect to the price and the quantity? So on the previous model here, there's a market price, and I say I want to buy one BTC. How does that connect to how much I can profit?
So the order that you select will require a margin that you have to fund your position with. And depending on the leverage, this will be exactly 1 Bitcoin, or it will be a fifth of a Bitcoin, right? So this is the margin. And then on top of that, if you want to just have that trade, the first trade deciding your size, you don't have to change anything anymore, right? This is just it. But if you like other could say, you just say the first trade is just a $1 trade, right? But you want to have more liquidity in your channel to do bigger trades later on, right? Because sometimes opening a channel and making a bet on the price is not correlated in time, right? So it's not the same time. So this gives you now the opportunity, and this was already feedback we've received from users, that the first trade is not necessarily deciding your max channel size. So beforehand, before we have that, yeah.
So the fund channel is actually determining a lot about my future trades.
Yes.
I don't think I had understood that, because I go straight from it's about this buy sell screen, and I put in all this very detailed information. And then I go to the next one. Of course, I don't have a channel, so I have to set these things. But to me, it felt like part of the same flow, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm getting it more. Thanks for putting up with all our questions.
And I'm going to ask
perfect
another question too. I'm very sorry, because it's so the buy long. If they click on buy long on the screen before, do they then come to this fund channel screen, or are they going somewhere else?
So it's the same flow, right? If you got to this flow if you don't have a channel yet. And
Okay.
the reason why we set up this channel is because we want your future trades, like Daniel said, to be fast without on-chain prints. And this can be cheap, right? Because now here for this first trade, you will have on-chain fees related to it.
Mm-hmm.
But for next trade, you can do instantly. You can almost instantly.
This
but there
won't
is
be
no
showing up, this fund channel
on-chain
screen. Right.
transaction related. But before we get there, we need to have this set up. And this will set the boundaries of how far you can get.
Right.
That's the reason why it's an important step. But it is also it's a blocker kind of for a user, right? Oh, now I have to deal with that. We would like to make this as simple as possible, so the user doesn't have to get afraid of that. But we want him to inform him as much, because what it means for him. Right?
So I'm going to translate it into how my brain's understanding it. I want to build a road from Amsterdam to Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and I need to first clear the road. I can clear the full road, and then I have a long roadway, or I can go halfway, but then I'm not going to make it all the way to Rotterdam. So it's almost like the more road space I clear, which is the liquidity, the more possibilities I have for future transactions and future trades. So this button here, buy long, for me, it almost makes sense that this wouldn't say buy long, because I'm not going to go immediately into the buying process. I first have to fund. I mean, if it's my first time. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't, the copy on this would make more sense to me if it said fund, like, or letting me know, like, almost like that there's this funding process that needs to happen first, setting up the channel, deciding the size of the channel, which in the end decides on my, liquidity. So it feels almost like, I'm about to move into this whole setup process. But if I click on buy long, I'm not expecting as a user to go into this like whole setup process, if that makes sense.
I have a few
Right.
thoughts now that I understand it a bit better. Some
Yeah.
of it connected to what you just said, Mo. So, but
Yeah.
looking at the next screen again, the one that is currently called Fund Channel. So, knowing what I know now, I would probably change the title of that to something like Create Trading Channel, or set up your funding, set up your trading channel, or something that is more descriptive of what I'm trying to.
Yes.
It's sort of a combination of like, okay, I want to start trading, but I have to enable
It's
that by funding a channel.
an analogy that might help here, although we're trying not to get too much affiliated with an account, right? But if you take it just from a semantical point of view, is what you do in central exchanges is you bring in money there, so it sits there, and then it's in your account, right? And you can only trade with the money that is in your account, right? And you can see it semantically very similar, although this account now is still self-custodial. It's a multi-sig, right? There is no counterparty risk at that point that somebody else takes ownership over my funds and lets me trade with it. Here you're really in control. So semantically, what do you think about calling this more like this? Would this make more sense? Although here we need to be very this is more like our selling point, to that there is no account actually, right? So, but it is something very similar to that from semantically,
Yeah,
right? Not technically.
I think you could probably, wordsmith this a little bit, but I would probably start with something like Create Trading Channel, or something in that realm. And then I think you could expand the text a little bit more in what you said in words now, that like, okay, you need a channel with, you need one of these DLC channels to start trading, and the size of your channel dictates how big trades you can make in the
Yeah.
future, and therefore how much profit you can make. I think you just added a few words to that effect in the description above, and then I would put a label in the first box saying, trading channel size or something that makes it clear what I decide with this slider. And then win up to, I think that's okay. But for me personally, the word win makes things feel a bit like a lottery. So I maybe would use the word profit or something similar, max profit or something.
Kinda like
Yeah, and I almost understood that differently. Just coming back to what Daniel said is, I understood that as the win up to, because you explained about the LSP, and then you equated it to the LSP, and then the own person's liquidity. So I'm opening a channel and I'm deciding on the amount I put in. So I'm going to put in 1.5, and then the LSP is providing the 750. So it's almost the way I understood it is that there are two people contributing to this channel. So my brain doesn't actually understand how come win would be the appropriate word for that. Um, like
Because
yeah.
it's the gain, something. What can you gain from here, right? So
Okay.
right, there is no possibility that there is ever going to be a higher profit than 750K,
Okay.
because there is no more liquidity from the other side.
Right.
I do agree. I think profit up to max profit is maybe
Yeah.
better, but it also means, turning around negatively, 1.5 million is lose up to, right? Or loss up to. This is how much you put into a stake into that position. It could be, right? It's not for this position. For this position, it will be the margin, 526 in the screen. But this is how much you could put in, right?
Yeah. And just coming back to the screen before this, where it says buy long, you know, I think if I'm a user and I would click on this, I'm automatically expecting to go into a buying process. I'm not expecting to, set up this whole channel process. So maybe if it's just, if they're entering into this flow for the first time, maybe it would help to say something here like, you're about to set up your fund your channel process, to create the expectation that there's going to be another, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps that are coming up.
Yeah, right.
It's just creating an expectation in the user's minds of what's coming. And then something else that you have these progress bars. I think I saw that in the onboarding section as well. You could even, let them know that the funding channel process is going to take them 4 screens to complete.
Although the 4 screens you reference are actually just 2 screens, right?
Oh, okay.
Because
All right.
this is just a state change about when we're monitoring if this QR this address is being paid or not.
Right.
It's just a state change on the same screen. You're not switching away from that.
Yeah.
I think the main confusion that comes from on this screen here with the fund channel is that you're actually mixing 2 things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the context of I want to create put in an order or a trade, and so the question is, do you want to put in enough funds just for this trade, or do you want to kind of put in something on top? And it's kind of 2 concepts, and it's kind of mixed into one screen. So that means the user is in the context of I'm just opening a trade, and I'm not mentally ready actually to think about the future trades or what it might mean. So I think kind of a expectation management here is probably needed. It could be even kind of a very short dialogue in between where you can say where you could ask the user, do you want to provide funds just for this trade or kind of more, right? And then you kind of makes it maybe a bit clearer. And just from one, because we're soon running up on time, from a design perspective, some of the fonts are extremely small, and the use and the interactive icons, the touch targets, like on this slider here, it's like 13 pixels big. So it's going to be very small, and from a usability perspective, probably too small.
Yeah. Yeah, as Michael said.
And also the question is also whether whether this needs to be a slider, because you just want to give users kind of exactly these options, or if they should fund the channel and you want to actually give them kind of the freedom to decide how much they want to put into that channel. That maybe an input, a text input might make more sense with some kind of popular choices, maybe 2 or 3, and then an input field, because here you limit actually what users actually can do.
That's
by
true.
providing a slider.
That's good feedback as well. Yeah. We have just 5 minutes left. So I know SXBT raised his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked what you mentioned earlier with the wordsmithing. DLC channels might sound a little bit confusing. Maybe we should use something like trading channel, and obviously the design.
Yeah, I like Michael's thought process there. I mean, even if you don't go down this route, it's interesting to consider, like, what would happen if you ignored sort of, or at least down prioritized this size of the trading channel, and focused on, okay, let's open a position where the channel is exactly the right size for this bid. would that simplify things, or would it not? Because you still kind of need to decide the channel size to be able to.
It would be simpler though. The feedback we've gotten, and I think this is what users liked, is that they weren't aware of that constraint, right? That they make the first trade and then, oh, I can't do any bigger trades anymore, and yeah, would have. So decoupling the first trade from the channel size made a lot of sense to them, because they say, oh, great, now I know how it works. Now I can use it to what I wanted, right? And what you're basically saying is go back to where we've been before, and that was unexpected to our users, that they then have to face that constraint, what they can't do anything about it anymore. So I kind of like more what you suggested, is to say, hey, do you want to do this? And with a short sense, this is the constraint you will have to live with if you don't do it, right?
Yeah.
And then simplify for him, right? So if the simple user just want to look at it, just make a first trade, don't want to deal with that, because you still can close your channel. It just means you will have to pay on-chain fees again for closing and opening. But some might want
I
to
understand
do that.
that what you say makes perfect sense, that people did it and then they got bitten by that early choice before they knew what it meant. So I think it might be a lot in the titling of this first box. Like maybe it's not trading channel size. Maybe it's something more closely connected to, like max trading bid, or something that makes it clear that it will have an effect in the future as well.
Trading capacity or something. Yeah.
Exactly, trading capacity, maybe something like that makes sense.
How about? I mean, what do you think? Just a random idea. What do you think about in terms of defining this instead of stats in terms of quantity? Asking a user, how big of a trade you want to do in terms of quantity, and we could imply what that would mean in terms of, for us, in terms of sets that you need to get. I mean, maybe that could be like, okay, I typically want to do kind of, I don't know, like behavior asking, like I want to trade, I don't know, $2,000 per week, right? Give me the proper size for that. Or I want to trade, just here to look, right? Just here to
the more you can connect it to the previous screen, the better, I think. So like if I was on the previous screen and I'd said like, okay, I wanted $1,000 trade or $100 trade or whatever makes sense on that screen, then I come to the next one, it would be nice to see some of those numbers reflected. Like, okay, you said you wanted to trade $1,000, but
but this is what you see here, right? This is what you see below. You see that the default setting for the screen is if you weren't to put any additional liquidity in. So if you were just to confirm, you're done, right? So it would work, and it would. It's just if you see the quantity, this is what we need, 526. It's not aligned here, but it would show you that you actually have 526. So the slider would be at 526 or the closest to it. And you can
I think that's always tricky when you design in Figma with if the numbers don't match up what they actually would be, it's very hard to understand these screens. Like contracts never appeared on the previous screen, so like, what is 100,000 contracts? I have no idea.
Right. Quantity,
and leverage on the left screen is X2, and then on the next one is 2.0. So anyway, it's just like in the design, when you see it on a real device, it might be easier because the numbers will actually match up. But
makes sense.
Yeah. Connecting these two screens more closer, I think, is going to be the biggest win in this process. And then also setting up expectations in terms of whatever decisions they make now, how those decisions affect the rest of the user experience. Yeah.
Well, but basically, the second screen is not that much about the trade you want to do, but your trading capacity on the future.
Right.
So we should definitely take this in mind to better convey what question we want to ask. So
you could split this screen up in two screens. I'm not saying you should, but you could, so that the first one is then fully focused on the trading channel size. And then instead of saying confirm at the bottom and having the full information about the trade, you would just say, okay, that's the channel. And then you said next. And then you have sort of confirm trade. And then you have all the trade specific things and the total cost. And then you have the confirm when you actually, it's just a thought.
That's a very good suggestion from Daniel. Yeah.
That's how we have it at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. It's, back and forth. It's hard to say, but
yeah,
only you are the expert. But at the moment, it is two things mashed into one.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can improve it by information design. So you can definitely do that. But yeah, sometimes two screens work. Sometimes you want to do it in one.
Yeah.
Just a last thought. It says there's a check mark at the bottom. So fund with 1010 wallet, and there's a fee. I understand why, if there's a fee, I understand why there's a checkbox. But otherwise, I would almost assume that I would be paying if I had funds in the wallet. I would sort of naturally think that, okay, that's where it's coming from.
So,
but
this goes then to the next screen. The idea was that this could be as well used as a confirmation screen. So if you would just say, okay, you checked box that, there's nothing else you have to do, you're done, right? You confirm and the position will be created because you already have funds in it. Basically, it means you already have done the steps of going into wallet, receive, and have funds there. Now this gives you the opportunity to use those and confirm. If you don't checkbox that, and if you don't have funds in your wallet, you would get to the next screen, which now shows you, okay, there is a Bitcoin address or a Lightning invoice, pay that. When we get that, then we open your position, right? Because then the funds are there. So it's simplification so that you don't have to go back to on-chain fund. But this checkbox is basically there to, if they have, they can use it as well.
Okay.
I would almost sort of check it by default if they have enough funds. And maybe I misunderstood that the 25 sats per VByte is actually just the current fee situation, right? It's not 10.10.1 getting a fee.
No, it's on-chain fee transaction. Yeah, you would.
Right.
It. Yeah.
Again, I would maybe decouple that information from the checkbox fund with 10.10.1 wallet. It sort of feels like the 25 sats per VByte maybe belongs up with the other data or something.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Because for me as well, I see there's two fees then. There's a fee of 30 sats and then there's another fee of 25 sats. So I'm almost also confused, I think, as to why there's two fees or if that is indeed the same fee. So adding that, as Daniel suggested, into the upper box would make more sense.
I think you totally agree. I think that even that shouldn't be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we wrap it up? We're gone 5 minutes over.
Yeah.
If everyone's okay with that.
One important thing that I got from this call is that actually our semantic will impact the design as well. So that's a very interesting point. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thanks for listening to our rambling questions, but I hope it was useful somehow. I always love learning about these advanced interfaces, but yeah, when it is so complicated, being clear and exact, both visually and with words, is really important.
For sure. And I'd like to also thank everyone else for joining the call. Michael, Stephen, Python, Papercyc, James, and everyone else. Thanks for joining the call. Thank you for your time, team, and for listening to as Daniel said, all of our questions and being very patient with us. Appreciate it. I hope we were helpful to you guys in some way.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for taking the time.
Richard would like to speak.
Oh, sorry, just trying to clap, but it's always disappearing. So there we go.
The usability of these icons is not the best one.
Yeah.